Hi, welcome to the Nobodies Project. This is where I interview artists across all different mediums about their creative process, how they started, maybe where they're going, maybe their favorite project, maybe their least favorite project, their biggest rut, how they stay creative. And bigger than that, this is a community. So we want you to be involved. We want you to submit your artwork to us, and you can do that at submit@thenobodiesproject.com. You can send us an email, and we promise to give you honest, real feedback because we think everybody deserves it. And that feedback isn't just going to come from us at the Nobodies Project, it's also going to come from the featured artists that you see on our website and in this episode. This week we have Timmy Pastor. He is one of the more unique artists in this group because he's not what you would call a traditional artist. He's not a comedian or anything like that. He is a skateboarder. But I truly think he's an artist, not just with how ridiculously talented he is as a skateboarder, but even more so his character and who he is as a person. He is one of the most positive, nice people I've ever met, and I couldn't be more thankful to have him in my life. So please enjoy this podcast with Timmy.
Magic.
First off, yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We're out in the woods, kind
Cheers,
of.
brother.
In an old what do we even call this?
I think technically for a long time this was the woods owned by PCC Rock Creek, and they have like hiking trails and stuff going all through there, which recently got bought out by land development. So even 9 months ago when there was hardly anything out here, now we're surrounded by half trees, half houses.
Yeah,
it's an ever-evolving place.
Which is funny because we're literally sitting on basically a half house. But
oh yeah,
to intro, this is Talking to Nobodies, our maybe third, fourth, second guest, I don't know what order these are going to come out in, is we have Timmy. And Timmy I met skateboarding, and one of the first person to let me record him skateboarding. But the biggest thing about him is, and was so evident, is his passion for not only skateboarding, but for people and for just having a good energy around it, because skateboarding has a bit of a stigma sometimes where, hard and tough, but I've never not seen this guy smile. And his Instagram account is just full of smiles, and we'll link you all that stuff. But let's get right into it. We'll get to know you. We don't have to do like who you are, because this is how we find out who you are.
Sweet.
So my first question is always, what do you do for money?
That has been an evolving thing in my life, but I've been blessed. The last year and a half, it's mostly just been skateboarding stuff. So I help manage Substance Skate Shop here in Beaverton, local. The only core skate shop on the west side of Portland, so it's fun to have my name in there. And I also do a lot of skate coaching and just general stuff with a couple teams around town. So as weird as it is, I never thought it would happen, but skateboarding kind of pays the bills.
Oh, I love that.
Which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. So I hope that kind of alley-oops into what do you do for art, or what do you consider your art?
Pretty much the same thing, a lot. I honestly have never really considered myself an artist, but I've always been like just a lover of life and just existing in general. And I think that can be art, like whatever you're willing to take out, like from what you can observe or put into the world around you in some way, shape, or form is going to be art. So whether it's me messing up on a kickflip or building a crazy park in the middle of nowhere, like, is it art? Is it not? I don't know. I guess we'll call it art for today. Tomorrow it might not be. But I think, generally just skating, being passionate about anything that actually involves your soul and like what makes you human, and just bringing that creativity into the world.
I love that. So one of the things you say, I don't know if it's art. The interesting thing about skateboarding is that it's 100% a sport, and we love that because the Olympics helped that huge this year.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just super fun to watch. But it's one of the few sports where it's primarily you versus yourself.
100%.
And taking that back to how you started skateboarding, have you been skateboarding your whole life?
Oh, I wish. I wish.
Take us through Timmy's origin stories through skating.
Man, my origin stories, I spent my high school years in Los Angeles, actually, where I was surfing pretty much every day.
Nice.
And then when I turned 17, my family moved up to Portland. and I didn't. Well, obviously wasn't able to surf hardly ever up here.
Right. Unless you go all the way to the coast.
Exactly. And I mean, back then I didn't have money,
How old
didn't
were
have
you?
a car. I was 17 at that time.
Yeah.
I was kind of trapped, but not in like a bad way. I just had to find something new creative to do. So I just grabbed a skateboard with my little brother, and we just pushed everywhere. And so that's been 6.5 years now. So I wish it'd been my whole life,
man.
but 6.5 years.
Damn. So what was your first skateboard like? Was it a Walmart board?
It was no. So my first man, as far as like a skateboard, like
No, I'm talking
like
the
a
first one
popsicle
that
deck.
you rode on.
So the very first
So when
skateboard.
when you and your brother picked him up.
Okay, well, the very first one I ever rode on in my entire life was my oldest brother's longboard from college. It was a Sector 9 42-inch pintail with wheels that were so old you couldn't even tell what the hell they were. We used to push around as that as kids, kind of. But as far as the first one that I ever like made the decision, like I'm going to be a skateboarder now, it was an Element Appleyard deck. I think it was a 7.75. With blacksmith trucks and some sort of generic ass wheels. I can't remember what, and I can't remember what bearings.
The Spitfires that everybody had back then?
No, nope. It was literally it was probably some garbage that I just found in a garage at like a friend's house or something, honestly. But yeah, I just slapped it together, and I was like, I'm gonna learn how to ollie, and I didn't months, honestly. Skateboarding's not easy, and I do not consider myself a talented skateboarder. I'm just a workhorse. So like if there's something I want, I'm going to get twice as hurt like getting there as most people, but I'm also definitely going to get there.
Right. So during the pandemic, I also got into skateboarding, but I was also into it as a kid.
Yep.
And my first board is also an Element skateboard.
Nice.
But the biggest thing about it is learning how to ollie, especially when I was in middle school, because I didn't do it into college or into high school. When I was in middle school, there wasn't YouTube or the internet wasn't as easy to access. So learning how to ollie, it was impossible. Like
100%.
It was like, do I put my foot underneath it?
You're
Like
defying gravity.
Yeah.
Like and using balance. It's impossible.
It's ultimately why I quit. But the biggest thing about skateboarding, and there's two things, is if you're a good skateboarder, generally, at least from what I've heard from pro skaters, it's not, I'm incredibly gifted. It's I put in hours.
Yes, 100%.
It's when you look at pros, you go, well, he put in that many hours, and then they put in that many hours. Like when you look at a beginner to middle to like elite skater, it's pretty much only hours.
100%.
And maybe some talent in there because then you have guys who are just overly creative and
100%,
stuff like that.
and just insane. Yeah, that's why sometimes people jaws drop when they hear I've only been skating for 6.5 years, but it's the amount of time
But how many
throughout
hours are
every
you putting
day
in?
through there. I mean,
Right.
too much, incalculable.
Yeah, because I could say that I've been skating since I was 12.
Yeah.
But 16 years of skating, and this is where I'm at. It's not nearly as impressive.
As long as you're having fun, you're doing it right.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. But going off of when you're a kid, so starting 17, did you always watch skate videos? Were you always interested in the skate scene? Where's your inspiration coming from, essentially?
That's a great question. I've always been an adrenaline junkie. I was decently protected. My parents, I love them dearly. They were and are pastors. So my dad's a pastor, and my mom's obviously a pastor's wife. So very protected as kids. Even surfing, when I started that, they didn't want me to do it, and I kind of like snuck my way into doing that.
Was it the scene or was it getting hurt?
Both.
Okay.
Both for sure. And then skateboarding was a similar thing as well. Like even at 17, they're like, well, you're not 18 yet. Like you still need to like wear your helmet, do your pads. And like, we don't really want you going to skate parks because people there smoke. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, like I'm 17. Like I'm the people who smoke. But yeah, so it was something inside of me, just kind of a need to break what's normal, if that makes sense. Like life can be so boring if you're not getting scared. And like if you're not, and it sounds fucked up, but like if you're not in danger, like where's the fun in that? Like if I just go work a job, drive home, and the most dangerous part of my day was the drive home, like fuck that. Like I want to jump down some stairs.
Yeah, and for everybody it could be like wildly different. For example,
100%.
You being scared of jumping down stairs, for me it could be I'm afraid of what my friends will think if I start knitting hats and selling them.
Exactly.
Right, but it's doing the things that you're passionate about that maybe you feel a little bit uncomfortable.
100%.
Yeah.
And that I think that is part of why skateboarding is considered an art, because that's universal for artists. Like if you're really going to push boundaries, you're going to be scared in the process. And I think for anything innovative to happen, especially in the art world, like you have to push boundaries. So like if you're not willing to get scared, how are you ever going to progress? You know, like if you're so afraid of the unknown, you're only ever going to stay where you're at, and that sucks.
No, I love that. And so diving farther into that, I'm just going to, what's the worst time you've got hurt?
Worst time?
Because you're talking about, I take all these risks, I live in fear, blah, blah, blah.
My fiance is shaking her head.
Because maybe it's coming from, well, I've never really gotten that hurt, so I don't know what it's...
I wish. Well, see that tooth right there?
Yeah.
It is glued in right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's not even the worst.
That's not the worst one?
No, that's not the worst at all. Definitely picked up a couple fun ones on the head. I got a forever bump back here, and the hair doesn't quite grow right around it. I've been knocked out twice.
Gotta do the Andy Anderson. You gotta wear a helmet,
I
man.
should, man. I really should. I go in phases sometimes. I definitely do. And when I skate big stuff, specifically with that lovely lady over there, I always pop on my helmet for the most part. My most everlasting injury, I don't even know if you can see it very well, but that purple mark right there, when I was 18, I tried to ollie a 12. So I've only been skating for a year. I tried to ollie a 12 stair down in LA. Yeah, and first try, wheel bite, and my hand goes over a manhole cover, and just the term cheese grater should explain kind of the whole situation. I was looking at the bone in there. But back then I was a little bit more spry than I was now, so I took off my t-shirt, wrapped it up, and tried for another hour. Never got it. I just kept throwing my carcass down this, literally like holding my arm bleeding. I was a medic for Nike actually at their tennis camp at Pepperdine University. So I knew I was going to be fine because I had like a whole warehouse of medical supplies. So I was like, I'll go there in a little bit. I'm just holding my hand, trying not to bleed out. It was great.
So that's amazing that you can hurt yourself in that way, see blood, see a bone, and be like, well, I'm still going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Where does that come from? Because one of the questions I did want to ask when you're talking about, well, it wasn't the scene, it wasn't this, it was a desire to be unique. It was a desire to do something kind of like off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because a lot of kids, me included when I was younger, it was I saw people who skateboarded and they're the coolest fucking people.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to be part of that cool thing while also doing a sport kind of thing like that. 100%. Probably why it didn't last for me. But take me through kind of how your mentality is. I want to get hurt. I want to keep going. Because when I get hurt with soccer, because that's what I played soccer in college, did all that. I tore a hamstring, and I said, no, I can keep playing.
Yeah.
So I understand it from
100%.
that point, but throwing your body over stairs is much different than running a little bit on a grass field.
Yeah.
So take me through mentally how you keep going, or when you hurt yourself really bad, how do you get back on the horse?
Yeah, man. Well, we could sit here for hours answering that question, honestly. Generationally, I come from a pretty physical background and a background that is inspired kind of by danger. My dad's father fought with Patton in World War II.
I was going to say, like, are pastors that
yes.
crazy?
Pastors are definitely crazy. But no, growing up, like hearing stories of valor of like my grandfather like liberating prison camps and saving French villages from the SS, stuff like that. Like that's all you hear when you hang out with Gramps. Right. And he's the coolest guy in the world. I want to do something bold. Like, I don't want to be boring. Like, he's literally saving people's lives. Like, I want to do something cool, too. So I think ever since I was a kid, I didn't have much thought of, like, self-protection. More, like, other protection and just, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't care much about this because I knew that there's so much out there to enjoy, to see, to help, whatever. Right. So I think that coupled with a piece of advice that a father figure I had when I was a teenager gave to me. And this guy was the sweetest guy in the world. Died a billionaire. He was way up there. No, he was an amazing man. And we were driving down the coast one day, getting ready to surf. And it was just beautiful sunrise over Latigo Point, down kind of in like the Santa Monica area. And we're both just almost in tears because it's just so gorgeous. And I mean, this guy had everything, like literally everything you could ever want in life, this guy had. And he literally just pointed at the ocean, and our whole conversation was just, all he said was, "This is it." Like those 3 words, just pointing at the water. We're just sitting there like almost tearing up, just the most gorgeous thing.
Puts everything into perspective.
Yeah, like you can have everything in life, and if you don't have something that you're passionate about just to cling on to for dear life, what's any of it worth?
Yeah, whether that be skateboarding, whether that 100%. Be relationships with people.
Yeah, I
but
think
it's very
all connected.
Rarely an object.
Yeah, 100%.
Sure, a skateboard helps you get there.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter what skateboard it is. Some may
100%.
mean more than others, but it's more about the relationships.
Yeah.
So I really want to dive into really what drove you to be that way? Because it's really interesting that, how old are you?
23.
23? For a relatively young age. I mean, it's not like I'm so much older than you, but it takes people a long time. It took me till after college to really think in the way of, I'm just going to do things that are fun.
Yeah.
And stop thinking about what other people think. Sure, that's healthy to think what, other people think so you're not crazy, whatever that is. But having the overarching goal be, I just want to have fun and do all that. But another thing is, you talk about having not a sense of self in the sense of that. Where does your pride come from? Is it your family name? Is it just being,
That's a great
thankful
question.
that you're alive? Is
Yeah.
like take me
I think
through
that's
where your
probably
psyche,
part of it.
your psyche helps you make your art.
Man, you're asking me some great questions. I don't need therapy. This is awesome.
We'll just do this every week.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I don't even know, where does the sense of self come from? It's gonna sound super dumb and counterintuitive, but I don't think about it. This is just kind of how I am. I woke up one morning and here we are, and I'm gonna do the same thing tomorrow.
So there was no big shift.
I think I've always kind of been this way, and I've channeled it into other things. Not saying I'm special by any means. I think people tend to overthink most things in life, and they tend to put everything in their own little categories and boxes. And I think if you sometimes stop thinking, break down a couple walls in your life, you just kind of flow through it, and everything works out and everything's fine. You are having fun in the process.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Because I wish I could stop thinking and just like really be in that moment. And one of the things I've talked about on this podcast a couple times is, how do you get into, and I assume you have to get into that state of flow, that where you're not thinking, it's absolutely, you almost black out and your body just does what your body does.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get there? Has that happened to you? Can you relate to that?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
Every good skate session, it happens at some point, even if it's just for a split second. Right. State of flow it's super important. It's just like meditation while walking, and when you hit that point, you're just everything's fine. It's as it should be. And I think that's one of those things, again, like I just said, is when you stop thinking, that's when you get there. When you have done something enough times or are truly invested in something enough, it will just happen naturally.
Yeah.
I don't think about it too much.
Yeah. Yes, because some of the most satisfying things are when it's 100% instinctual. It's not planned. And those typically are the moments, even if it's not the best trick you've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that when you go to sleep, you replay that moment over
100%.
and over and over and over again. And you don't really know. And the best thing about it, in my opinion, is you don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
You don't go, well, because I trained here and I did this stuff and I practiced here, then that's why that happened. You just go, I don't know how that happened, but it did.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, do you ever go into huge creative ruts with skateboarding, with almost anything?
I've definitely had points in time where things get like frustrating.
Yeah.
Where like you feel like, everyone pulls up to the park, and a month ago you were all about as good as each other, and now everyone's better than you. Like that happens. Or even like winter time, like when it's raining for 2 weeks straight and you can't go out and skate, like you have to get creative and find something else to do. So yeah, creative ruts definitely do hit, and it's mostly when I think I'm comparing myself to others, and when I physically can't skate for like injury or weather-related reasons.
Right. Comparing yourself to other skaters, especially with the age of kind of how you come up on skating. It used to be you get with the right crew.
Yep.
That crew happens to have a good filmer who knows somebody, and then you put out parts, and then when you start, you're at the very end of the part.
Yeah.
And then you maybe have one or two things, and they go, who the hell is that kid? And then other parts. And it was a little bit more organic, and it's more, I would say, wholehearted in it.
Yeah,
where
totally.
If they saw somebody with your talent or something like that, they would be like, I'm going to take that kid.
100%.
I'm going to help this kid. Now, it's all Instagram. It's all YouTube. I assume there's some TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. But
Nor am I.
Good. But how do you deal with seeing other people on Instagram doing other things, or even at the park? Because as a skater and somebody who wants to be a professional skater in the fullest form of it, Instagram's a huge part of that.
Oh, 100%.
How do you deal with that?
I think a lot of times the old ways are the best. I would always rather sit down and have a conversation with like a brand rep or whatever than get DM'd over Instagram for the most part. So as important as Instagram is, I don't let it shake me too much one way or the other, obviously. Right. It's part of why I am so proud of my job at Substance. It's not because I'm getting paid $1 million or because it's making me famous. It's because I literally get to meet the guys who make the element boards, you know? Yeah. Like that sort, like the people who are like running the industry, like they'll just walk through the door and just like chat for a little bit, you know? Yeah. So as far as like comparing myself to people like on Instagram though, it's not a super... I don't stay up at night thinking about it. It's always cool when you're like, oh, cool, another 5 followers or whatever. Like, that's always fun.
Or you get featured somewhere.
Exactly. And
like
I
Barrick
think...
does something, yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. Instagram is really great for kind of like that instant approval for like an artist. So like if we go out and have a really great skate day and we make an edit and we post on Instagram and it gets like 500 likes, that's really, really fun. Doesn't sway my career one way or the other. Obviously, I'd love to see that kind of stuff grow just because it can inspire more people, hopefully, bring more business to the brands that I'm a part of and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just keeping it casual.
Yeah. Going off that, would you rather, and I'll ask you this question, we'll hit a break, and then we'll finish up with a couple finishing questions. Would you rather put out a part that shows you and your crew being really fun? So basically, I'm thinking, would you rather show that you're illegal civ? Or would you rather show that you're like Naja Houston, where it's crazy technical and you show that you're a better skater? Damn. If you could choose to put out one clip and it's the best thing you've ever done, but it's one or the other. Man,
I don't know if the world...
I know a little skating stuff.
I don't know if the world could handle most of what me and my friends do, to be honest.
You seeing how big Illegal Civ got, though? You think, dude, they're crazy.
I've always preferred character over skill in a lot of ways. I would way rather, like one of my favorite skaters ever, my really good buddy Joe, I shit you not, he only has like 6 or 7 tricks he does. Yeah. And like we've been skating the same amount of time. But I love this guy because of who he is and how fast he pushes. Like it doesn't matter like how technical it gets. He's hilarious. Like I'm literally laughing just thinking about this guy. Right. I'd probably have to go with the first answer.
Okay, so the friends having fun.
Friends having fun.
Yeah, because I participate probably more in the skate game in Instagram, but because I want to be behind this, I want to be behind the camera. Yeah. But when I'm watching like Progress Daily, have you ever?
Oh yeah.
Daniel Hare, how he skates.
Nuts, dude.
Because in all honesty, he's not the best skater in that group. Yeah. Not even by far. But he throws himself at everything.
And he just makes it look awesome.
But the thing, and I think it all boils down to, he's having fun. Yes. That's how he has fun.
100%.
He's not going to have fun by being safe and all those things. But would you say that you're rather, I'm going to have fun, or are you more, I'm going to really be like a discipline of the skateboard, like learn how to do everything? Or would you rather do stuff to have fun? Sorry.
No, go for it.
Has this changed? Like when you were younger, when you started to get good, were you like tricks, yes. And now you're...
Oh, 100%. Okay. There was about a 1-year period right before I got my first deck sponsor where I literally, me and my best friend Ian, we pushed ourselves to pretty much learn a new trick every day. And like, we're not talking just like a variation of a trick. Like we'd show up to the park, we're going to be like, we're going to learn this XYZ really hard type of thing. And it was a grind and it honestly sucked. And sometimes I'd wake up in the morning and be like, I don't want to fucking skate today, but I have to because we're filming. And the grind is important sometimes. Like if there's like a list of things like you actually have to get done for a job, like skateboarding can be a job and it has been for me kind of. So there are times where you have to do that, but man, it's you progress so much better when you get out of your own head, put your feet on your board and just push and just see what happens. Like the last about 2 years of my life, I haven't given a shit what anybody thinks about me, like skating wise. And it's made me much more stylish. I've always had way more fun and my airs are a lot higher. So I can't complain.
Looking back, was that year or so needed to get to where Timmy is now? The year of technical
I
hard.
think I would still be somewhere if it weren't for that year. But I think that year definitely helped. It helped me build like a foundation, specifically just skill wise. It gave me a huge well to draw from skill wise. Like I was just as good at manual tricks as I was at like transition tricks or whatever. I could kick flip just as good as I could heel flip or whatever. And once I kind of had that foundation and just said, fuck that, let's just have fun with this, then I kind of drew from the things I enjoyed the most and channeled just all the passion into that. So now my skating is kind of bizarre, but it's really fun.
All right, last question before we go.
Hell
Let's see. Yeah, no, you got 5 minutes to answer. You got plenty of time.
5 minutes. I'll talk slow.
Take me through Timmy's style.
Timmy's style.
And here's the fun thing. Start with your skateboarding.
Got it.
Go to your clothes. And then go to how you conduct yourself as a person.
Oh, I love it. My skateboarding is aggressive. Speed equals awesomeness. So the faster I'm going half the time, the better. I love transition, pools, vert. Anything crusty, honestly. Like if I can take my back truck and smash out a piece of pool coping. I mean, look, we were literally skating this not that long ago. This kind of stuff is what's fun to me. Clothing was the second one.
Yeah.
Carhartts constantly on my legs, just because they fucking work. And
I
love, literally, I've had these for I don't know how many years, and I got one hole in them. Damn, I have to get a fresh pair. But anything that works a lot of times, t-shirts, vests, sweatshirts, but specifically Carhartts. Like you will almost never see me
function over style.
Yes, and style is function. Form and function go hand in hand. That's the way I see it. Like this is what I wear because it's who I am, and it works. And you won't almost ever see me in something other than this. What was the third part of the question?
And then I was going to say as a person, how you conduct yourself, but I'm going to go and get a little bit more specific. Perfect.
Tattoos.
That's part of your style.
That's definitely part of my style. I'm not going to rip off my shirt, but I got a little bit of ink done.
You wouldn't be a skater without it.
Exactly. That one. From all my years of surfing, specifically, and a memorial for the gentleman I was talking about earlier who passed away.
I love it.
Love you, Blake. Octopus, because they're fucking badass. Who doesn't love an octopus? Probably my favorite tattoo I got, though, is this guy right there. It's, I believe it was 1986, but the pro skateboarder Jeff Grosso, if you've ever heard of him. That was one of his graphics he had, and he was a big influence for me. Just his, as dumb as it sounds, he was kind of like... He was like a preacher for skateboarding. Like he spoke, he taught me how to be a skater, just watching his videos and stuff and like hearing everything that he had to say. If you've never seen Love Letters to Skateboarding by Jeff Grosso, watch all of them. Okay. They are so worth it.
I've seen them on YouTube, like Love Letters, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched it yet.
They're so worth it.
I know I need
They're so worth it. But so this was the very first skate deck that I ever almost teared up looking at because I fell in love with it. I walked into Substance, and it was a green version of this board. And it was hanging on the wall, and I almost teared up, and I didn't know why. And I still don't know why that board did that to me. But I picked it up, and for hours, I was just walking around the store with my homies.
The State of Flow.
100%. Yeah. I looked at that, and I'm like, dude, there's the angel coming up here, the demon, all the people burning, and everything's just kind of going.
I'm sure you could sit down, analyze, write it out, but I kind of like better that I don't know, but I know it makes me feel something.
That's why it's on my arm. I have my whole life to figure out why that board. I don't know why that board, but it did it for sure.
Sure.
But yeah, that's definitely my favorite tattoo I got.
Do you think, this is not even related, do you think tattoos need meaning?
No.
I don't either.
The tattoo itself is meaning.
Yeah.
Like if
it's a doodle of the thing, at the very least, in my opinion, you get a tattoo that you regret about, it's still a moment in your life.
Yes, 100%.
And it's more a memoriam to that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think... I agree 100%.
All right, then last one is, it's kind of a hard one to answer, is your character, how you present yourself stylistically. Who's Timmy?
Timmy.
Do you prefer Timmy? I always call you Timmy.
Timmy, yeah, that's the nickname that never left.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Okay. Good.
Who is Timmy?
How you present yourself, how you talk, how you bring. I think it's just going to go back to I want to have fun.
I definitely want to have fun, but I also understand that everybody wants to be respected and they want to feel important.
Yeah.
So whether it's someone walking into the shop who's a 5-year-old and it's their birthday and they've never had a skateboard before, some old lady at the supermarket, whatever. I want to be the same person to everybody. I don't want to put up a bunch of false flags for who I am. Like I am who I am. And that tends to be fun, helpful, caring, But I want to make people feel important. You know, I've been given a lot of second chances as a human. I don't feel like I need a lot from other people necessarily, so I like to do as much as I can just to make people feel special, even for a few seconds in line at the grocery store.
I love that. All right, well, we're going to take a little break. We'll come back with another 25 to a half hour, and then we'll get out of here.
Sweet.
I'm loving this, though.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
So far,
man.
so good.
But it's a little cold out here. You probably have seen me shivering a bit. I don't do well with the cold, despite coming from the Midwest.
My fingers are white.
Yeah, he's a trooper over there. But I want Timmy to explain where we're at, how this became a thing. So as you can see, this is the first podcast we're doing outside, not in my room. Still got the same chairs, everything else. But you can see the rubble. You can see the skateboard here. Just take us through where we're at, how this came to be, and just the whole story.
Oh, man.
I'll ask you questions in a minute.
We are at the portal of all happiness, honestly. It's technically called Oinker's Citadel DIY, rest in peace. Right outside of PCC Rock Creek, there was an old abandoned house that was out here, start of the pandemic. My brother and some of my friends and I, we rolled out here to build a DIY skate park because you couldn't go skate like in skate parks. You'd go to a skate park and start a pandemic, and cops or security would actually kick you out because of the pandemic.
Closed. Yeah.
Yep. So we needed somewhere to skate because we were all going nuts. None of us could work. And so we came out here and brought a bunch of concrete and found pretty much everything we needed on site to build a kick-ass park. Like, if I can pick it up.
You should go grab it.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can do that one in a second. But, like, this stuff is actually coping from the pool just down the way that we use for our ramps, like pool coping in a skate park.
Yeah.
We literally just found everything we needed here to build a full-blown skate park. We had a creek on site. So basically this was just like heaven on earth for guys who wanted to get creative. Right. None of us had ever built ramps like with concrete before. So we literally would show up here at like 6 a.m, like almost every day with a bunch of concrete.
Dedication.
Yeah. We had no plans, no blueprints. We didn't even make templates for the ramps. We'd literally like start mixing concrete and be like, all right, where's this going? So we just pile stuff around. We're right next to the main ramp section over there, where it used to be, and it was just fantastic.
So it's just trial by error, but it was all. I mean, it's all just fueled by passion. It's all fueled by because I'll show you some B-roll when we're doing this. We're not right next to a street. We're not.
Yeah.
Like take me through like some of the hardest parts to make this and why you made it. Everything else around it, because like you can see some of the ramps that still exist with the face over there. But just take me through like the struggle of doing this and why you did it. And
man, it was a struggle. I'll answer the why first. Because we could, and we really didn't have anything else to do. I think it's innate as skateboarders to kind of like push boundaries and just do something if you want to do it. And we really wanted to skate ramps. We didn't have any options, so we were like, fuck it, let's build ramps. There was a need there, so that's kind of the why. As far as the struggle, it was never easy for sure. For a long time, the road that we used to drive up here was blocked with some trees, so we had to walk all of our equipment and our water in. And 100 yards doesn't sound long until you're carrying like bags of concrete,
right,
like just back and forth. So that was definitely a huge part of the struggle, was actually just getting here to do it. And definitely another part of the struggle is, since we are so close to the college, like, and a neighborhood not super far away either, like there were sometimes people running through. So we had like all these elaborate stories of like, oh, we know what's his face from the college. Like we're allowed to do this and it'll get torn out later. Like,
yeah. How many times have somebody stopped you?
No one ever stopped us, but there were a lot of questions.
Like with gear, they stopped. Like they didn't stop you, but they were questioning you.
Most people don't question guys in like orange vests with cigarettes because we're kind of scary sometimes. But so no, there were definitely people like, "Oh, hi, how's it going? Like, what are you guys up to?" It was never like, "What are you doing?" And we were always like semi-honest. We're like, "Oh yeah, we're building a skate park," and then fill in the blank for why it's allowed, even though it wasn't fucking allowed. Like it's kind of illegal as shit, but it was awesome.
But
it was
in
great.
the same sense, we're in Portland.
Yep.
And the most famous, biggest, it's in Tony Hawk's pro skater.
Oh yeah.
Burnside And Portland has a huge history of DIY.
It is
that
the history
part of
of
the
DIY.
Yeah, it's
100%.
Portland. I was shocked when I looked up and I saw somewhere, and not that these reports mean anything, but it was like
Yeah.
Portland or Oregon is the number one skate state in the country.
I would agree with Portland, California. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I always thought it would be California, but for some reason, coming from the Midwest, I just don't. When I think of Portland, I think of the show,
Yeah.
Portlandia, and it's weird and blah blah all this stuff. And I guess skateboarding hits that right, but when you really get into the scene, the amount of people that I've heard, not only from you doing this DIY stuff, but some of the like old Do Skate Crew stuff,
Yes.
where they're making their own boards and they're
Yeah.
doing all this stuff. It's infectious.
This board's homemade actually by one of the homies from over there.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. That's
I
sick.
love that.
That's awesome.
So it's just infectious because
Yeah.
I definitely tried. I was like, oh, dude, I had a buddy who's a woodworker who
Yeah.
I want to get on the show. Started making skateboards, and they're
That's
borderline
awesome.
pro, like they're well-made skateboards.
Yeah.
And it's just infectious. Like maybe we start a skate brand, maybe we start all this stuff, even if I'm shit at skateboarding. Take me through how, because you can see there's a suburb over there. Like, how do you just keep going and doing it when you know that this is you knew this was not going to last, right?
No, I didn't think it was going to last a month. We got one ramp
But you
up
kept
and we're
doing
like,
it.
yes, we did it. It lasted over a year. 13 months we had it up here, which is great. And I think it wasn't necessarily the long game as far as like if you everything in life is temporary, right? Like why would
Come to
I
terms with
why
that's
would I get a
huge.
job now if I'm going to die in 60 years? Like that same sentiment is almost sounds the same as like, why would you build a skate park if it's going to get torn out in a month? It's like, well, how many people have actually built a skate park? Like this is something fun I can do right now. What the hell's stopping me? And if you fill your life with stuff like that, before you know it, you have this huge resume and arsenal of stuff you can kind of pull from and be like, oh yeah, even though that skate park I built only lasted 13 months and most people wouldn't think that was worth it, I now know how to build a skate park.
Right.
And if I ever have a spot that'll last longer, I'll do it. And if I have one that's going to last shorter, I'll still probably do it because it's fun. Yeah, it's not necessarily about like the time, but the actual process and what you get out of it too. It could have lasted half as long as it did, and it would have done it again without without even thinking twice.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I did like to see is that you tried through Instagram to save this place.
Oh, so much.
And yeah, you tried. I liked everything there. I shared some of that stuff too because I was
Yep.
like, I want to see this place succeed.
Yeah,
But
it's sad.
it is sad, but at the same time, I love it's the old Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened.
Exactly.
And I think that mantra rings true for me, rings true for you especially. But you tried to save it on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of alley-oops into my next question, where would you rather keep the following that you have now or overnight get 1 million followers? Granted, those 1 million followers could all unfollow you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But with 1 million followers, you might have been able to fund this place,
Yeah.
buy this lot of land and go, yeah, this is my skate park now. But
Good question.
do you want it's kind of shifting back to the Instagram, but
I was going to say, if there's no repercussions for getting the 1 million followers, I'll take the 1 million followers. Again, it's also not something that I'm not stressing over like, oh, I need to like get as much as I possibly can, just like a numbers game competition. Like
But do you think it would help you? Do you think it?
I think it would have helped me
Put
if
too
I
much
had
pressure on you. Do you like the pressure you have?
I don't think it would have put too much pressure on me just because I'm so handsome and naturally funny. I would have been fine. No, I'm kidding. But
I mean, he's not lying.
I don't think I would necessarily feel pressured from it just because I'm not big into like playing that game necessarily. Like if it comes to me, I'm not going to be anybody different than who I am, you know? Like whoever decides to follow me or whatever, still gonna have to look at the same shitty memes I put on my story and the same whack skate clips I post. And if
Right.
they want to follow that, that's awesome. And if 1 million people want to follow that I'm so sorry for them, but that's awesome for me.
Right.
So it's not necessarily something that like I'm just grinding so hard to get more followers. If they like what they see, awesome. If they can help me save a skate park or, replace a broken piece of glass at the skate shop or whatever, like that's great. You know, that's what community's for. And if 1 million people who are actually interested in the community I'm a part of started following me, that's awesome, because that's more people who can learn and can contribute. And before you know it, like, there's going to be so many DIYs popping up here, because, you know, some kid in Grand Rapids or whatever is going to look at like Timmy from the West Coast and be like, I want to build a skate park. Like, that's what I want to do. That's the same thing that happened to me. Boys like Jeff Grosso, Mark Hubbard, Red Scott, like the guys who like actually did stuff for so long. I looked up to them as a young dude growing up in skateboarding, and when I had nothing else to do, I followed their example. Like, it was because of the guys at Burnside that I ever thought to pour concrete here. So if more followers came my way and I could help inspire more stuff like this to happen, that'd be fantastic. But it's nothing I'm dying over. You know?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love how it's, as an airplane goes by, I doubt you'll be able to hear it.
But the most important thing ever is
so you talked a lot about community, and I really loved how, if I get 1 million followers, I'm not going to change myself. And I think you look at a lot of people, a lot of artists, and I don't think that I'm quite at your level. If I got 1 million followers, it would go to my head, and I'd probably change a little bit, because that's just naturally what you would do.
I'd get 1 million followers tattooed on my forehead.
But the biggest thing that you harped on was community. And the thing that I love about Timmy, and the thing that really made me almost proud that I get to, you know, have your number, text you, and you're willing to do something like this, is because every time I go to a skate park and I see Timmy skating, and we happen to be there at the same time, everybody knows Timmy. Everybody comes up to Timmy. Everybody enjoys watching you skate. But it's not just because you're a good skater. You're a great skater. That's undeniable. It's
Thank you.
You have a positive outlook, and you're helping people right from the get-go. You're helping people skate. You're having fun. Like, I'm not a good skater, but you've helped me with some of the little things that I've been doing, or just hyping me up.
As long as you're having fun, you're a great skater. Let's be real.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. But it's interesting because your community that you built is your reputation. I think for you, if I were to ask you, would you take your current reputation or 50 million followers and you have sponsorships from every brand that you could literally pick your board, your trucks, your tools, everything, or the community that you currently have, what would you take?
Probably the first, honestly, because
I can't imagine
those are the people who've poured into me too. You know, like, it's definitely not, because the words you just said are making me blush, and they're very sweet. But you're also not the first person to say it. Like, there's been a lot of people who've been like, wow, like everywhere you go, somebody knows you, or there's this and that going on. But that's just how the community is. Like, I'm only one point of it. Like, everyone else that, like, I kind of touch also touches me too. You know.
Was there somebody before Timmy that was kind of the Timmy that you look up to? Maybe it's a friend, something like that, who, like, for me, when I'm skating, I'm there, and you say, oh, Marky, what's up? And you come and say, I go, oh, man, that makes me feel cool that I'm associated with you. Was there that for you?
There were many of those. So many of those. I had some amazing mentors, guys that I looked up to, as well as some amazing peers, especially the first couple years of my skating, like foundational stuff. There's too many names to name, man. Like, I could list through 100 people who, like, positively, like, influenced me to my core. And that's why it is so much of a community thing. Because it's like, even though a lot of people recognize me, that doesn't mean that I'm worthy of recognition over necessarily, like, anybody else. Because it all goes back and forth. And if I only surrounded myself with people who weren't positive and weren't nice or happy or whatever,
for followers,
then I wouldn't be the way that I am. You know, like, I'm surrounded by amazing people, so therefore I leech a little bit of their amazingness as well. You know?
Kind of piggybacking off that, imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
I feel it immensely. I think that's mainly because I feel guilty sometimes. I get paid for some of the things I get to do.
You deserve it, though. Let's be real.
Thank you. But I feel imposter syndrome quite a bit. A lot of my coworkers we've talked about it a lot. Within the skate scene, you're so ingrained in skating. Do you ever get that imposter syndrome where you feel like you're a fraud, that one of these days somebody's going to figure out, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing?
You know, I think I think, to be honest, everybody already knows I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So there's
part of your brand?
kind of nothing to hide, man. I'm having fun. I do what I do. I hang out with who I hang out with. I am who I am, you know, and I'm not claiming to be nothing I'm not. Like if somebody's a fan of me, that's not because I claimed to kickflip a 20 stair and I actually didn't. It's like I'm not the best skater. I'm not the world's nicest guy. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. And if you like me, that's cool. That's dope. I don't think there's any imposter syndrome because I really have nothing to hide necessarily. Like people recognize me for what I do. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just living my life. You know, that's all that's going on here.
I love that. So this will probably be around the final question. Actually, I have 2 questions. I forgot about the other one. Where do you find time to do skating? And especially with Oregon weather, obviously this is a very good example of I will fucking find time if I need to. But do you ever go through periods where you just don't feel like skating? And what was your worst period? How do you get out of that rut? But where do you find your time with work? Getting married soon. Congrats. Yes. All that stuff, all the other life stuff. Where do you find time to do your art, do your skating?
Man, when something's important to you, you're always able to find time. I've been blessed enough this last year and a half plus to have skating be my job, in part. So not only is it helpful for me to skate, but it's kind of mandatory sometimes. So it's literally built into my schedule to do part of that, as well as even the skate shop that I work at too. Like we skate out front whenever someone's not there shopping, we're skating the curb out front. My beautiful fiance, who I love dearly, Maeve, she's just the world's most amazing roller skater as well. So wherever, like when I need to skate, she's like always about it, and she'll be like, let's go skate, and like pull me out of bed sometimes too. So it's I don't know if muse is the right term.
How much do you appreciate, for example, most people, the thing that they're absolutely most passionate about is usually it's down the lane, and the partner that you find is usually, maybe it's associated but can't do the same thing. For example, me and my partner, great, everything's great, but my passion is like soccer, doing creative stuff. It's not really her jam. But having somebody in that, does that just, you were like, well, I'm at 10 now, but now I get to go to 15.
Oh, dude, we're at like 3 million right now. Yeah. You're the best, honey. No, I love it enough to put a ring on it, without a doubt.
I love
Absolutely. That. She's the best. The best. But yeah, no, it is helpful for my soul. Absolutely. And I would pick her over skateboarding any day of the week, because I could do an hour podcast on this. It's going to take the rest of my life to truly express how much I care about her, without doubt. But yeah, she inspires me and is always down for the adventure. We do some crazy stuff, and you know, we're not flying to Paris tomorrow because I'm choosing this as a job, but she's okay being on a little bit more of a budget to let me do what I love, and that's huge to me. You know.
Great. Yeah. No, I love that, and I love how you brought that up. Obviously, skateboarding is not making you a millionaire yet, but provides a good transition into my final question, which is, do you think you're going to, make it big or make it?
I think I already have. Like I have fun doing what I'm doing.
My second question was going to be, how do you define making it though?
Yes, exactly. Making it is subjective. My making it is not Nigel Houston's making it. It's not your making it. It's not my fiance's making it. It's my making it. And my making it is a daily process and kind of checking in and being happy. And someday I'm okay with the fact that I might wake up and I might see skateboarding different, or I might have to take a different path in life to provide differently or whatever. But man, every day for the last 6.5 years, I've woken up and I made it. Before I was sponsored, I made it. Before I got a paycheck from this shit, I made it. Now I'm the most successful I've ever been on my skateboard. I've made it. And that could all drop tomorrow, and I've made it. Like I'm just happy. I literally get to play with a toy all day long. And
You're
that's,
living
that's the
out your
best.
childhood dream, right?
I'm living out just my lifelong dream.
I love that.
I hope to
Even
be
better.
80, falling down some stairs somewhere. Have like the nursing home nurses chase me down the hall, like, Mr. Pastor, slow down. Like, fuck you. That's the goal. No, I've made it long time ago.
So what are your goals for this year?
Get married. November is coming up real quick. That's when we're
Love
planning. We're actually going to be, if everything goes well, taking a road trip, hitting a bunch of skate parks on our way to Vegas to get married. Aside from that, I'm just playing it by ear. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what my plan for tomorrow is. I'm playing it by ear, man.
I think that, expecting you to be like, well, I'd like to hit this monetary value and have this many followers would be crazy.
As long as rent is paid and my wheels are spinning, I am content.
All right. Well, that could not be a better ending to that. I absolutely love this conversation with you.
Me as well.
Super fun. Check out all of Timmy's stuff. We'll link his socials. I filmed something that he already did already, but I might try to do something specifically for this.
Yeah.
Because I would love to do that. We'll get some photos of you up. We'll do all the things for you.
Awesome.
And I'm just super excited to see. Every time I check in on you, it's delightful to see how much farther you keep going.
Well, thank you, man. You as well. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being on the podcast,
Such a
man.
fun experience, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and we're out.
Thank you for tuning into this podcast. If you want more information on this artist, you can find it on our website, nøbodiesproject.com. You can follow us on Spotify as well as on our socials at the Nobodies Project on Instagram. But more importantly, we want you to be a part of this community, and you do this by submitting your artwork to us. We want the things that you're the most stoked on, maybe things that you're too nervous to show anybody else, but we want all of it. And you can do that by submitting your artwork at submit@thenobodiesproject.com. And we promise to look at every single person's artwork who is submitted, and everybody at the Nobodies Project will give you honest and heartfelt feedback. And thank you for being here and checking out the Nobodies Project.